You're listening to the Wall Street Ledger. Welcome to all of our listeners. Our featured company is Deep South Resources. Deep South Resources currently traded shares on the Toronto Venture Exchange on ticker DSM, as well over-the-counter QB ticker DSMTF. Joining us today to speak a little more about the company is Mr. Pierre Leveille. He's the president and CEO. Pierre, thank you for joining us here at the Wall Street Ledger.
I'm pleased to meet you.
It's great to have you on our show. If you could talk a little bit about the current projects and operations at Deep South.
We have two things. The first is our largest project is in Namibia. It's a copper exploration project. It's a very large deposit. We're talking of 5 billion pounds of copper in the ground, and it's expandable. The situation with that one is that the Minister of Mines last year has refused to renew the license, the exploration license. So we are currently into a court case with the ministry where we have requested the court to review the decision of the minister. So it's not a damage claim. We want to turn around that situation. We're pretty confident we can do that because the reasons that they gave us for not renewing the license are just nonsense. So we're pretty confident that it's going to go in the right direction. And recently we have acquired options on 3 licenses in the copper belt in Zambia, extremely well situated, right neighbors to very large operating mines, on the same geology, on the same geological trends. So it's very, very well situated. Of course, they are less developed than the project in Namibia. In Namibia, we were starting a feasibility study. In the case of the projects in Zambia, we will starting September, we will do some soil sampling to start, finding the targets for drilling.
Give us a better feel of the current infrastructure within these regions, right? Not too many companies we know of are in Zimbabwe, but what does it look like in terms of infrastructure as it pertains to drilling, exploration, etc.?
In Namibia and in Zambia, the infrastructures are quite good. You need to keep in mind in Namibia, it's an old South African, it's just neighboring South Africa. It's an old South African protectorate. So it has inherited from all the infrastructure, from the South African time. The project is just bordered by the main road in Namibia. Power lines are there. Water is very nearby. So it's very well situated. In Zambia, it's about the same. And you need to keep in mind that in a very close neighboring the license that we have, there's about 14 very large scale copper mines in the country. So therefore, you have infrastructure in that specific area because of these mines that have created all these infrastructures to be able to pull out their metals.
Talk about the recent acquisition in Zimbabwe.
In Zambia, it's right in the middle of the copper belt, and it's known as one, if not the most prolific copper belt in the world. You have huge mines over there, like one of our licenses neighboring Konkola mine operated by Vedanta, which is one of the largest zinc and copper producer in the world. It's 7 kilometers from the mine on the same geology, on the same trend. And so we're pretty excited about this one. That's the most northern one. The southern one is a huge piece of ground. It's very, very large. It's less explored, but we see a lot of, 17 kilometers long of outcropping lone roller group rock. That's exactly what we're looking for, crossed by some faults. So it's there's a lot of interesting drilling target there. The one that is in the center, the license that is in the center, has seen quite a lot of sampling and geological survey. We're very near of having drilling target on that one. And it's just neighboring a license that has seen quite a lot of drilling in the past years on the same trend and so on. And the drilling on that neighbor license looks extremely good. It's like a very good intersection with, and what is very interesting about Zambia, copper belt is the grades are pretty high. We're talking of 2-3% copper, as opposed to the average in the world, which is 0.50 at the moment. And you have companies like Barrick Gold, like First Quantum, Glencore, Rio Tinto. They're all present in the country. First Quantum has announced that they will invest $1.5 billion into improving increasing their production. Barrick has the intention to do the same. The president of Zambia recently announced or mentioned that his plan is to bring Zambia as the #2 copper producer in the world, so surpassing Peru, just #2 after Chile. And so it means that they will certainly support the industry and the projects very well. That's good news.
Yes, it is. So with that being said, then walk us through this current board and management team at the company.
But we're all people that have a lot of experience in Africa. I'm doing business in Africa, mainly in Namibia and the surrounding countries, South Africa, Zambia, Angola, since over 25 years. I've financed quite a lot of project and exploration project in that area. Our chief operating officer was also a director, has been 30 years in Africa. Jean Lecroix has been, mine manager, country manager, chief operating officer for companies such as First Quantum and smaller companies also. And the other board members are all well-established people that have worked quite a lot in Africa. And one of our director, Ali Ngula, is a chartered accountant, a Namibian chartered accountant. So she's the only Namibian on our board. Our chairman was also a Namibian, but he sadly, passed away recently. So we will need to find someone else to replace him. So we are well established to do business in that part of the world. It's like we have the networks, we have the knowledge, we have our geological team is South African, so they know that area extremely well. So we're well placed for developing project in that part of the world.
So where do you see, or where would you like to see the company positioned in a 2 to 3 year period?
But we would like to get our project back in Namibia, of course. At the moment, buying shares in the company, it's like having an option call on a very large project, and our market cap was 6 times, 7 times higher when we were having it. So there's a good upside there. It's not a big risk. But we would like also to have advanced our projects in Zambia to the point where we have a large resource and that we can start figuring out, putting together a feasibility study on one of these projects. So, that's mainly what we see in the next 2 or 3 years.
So, Pierre, in conclusion, why should investors consider the company as a good long-term investment opportunity?
Because we're sitting on very, very good projects, very, very well situated. The best place to find a mine is neighboring another mine. So that's exactly what we have in Zambia. Given the situation in Namibia, we're extremely undervalued. Despite the fact that the commodities market are going down at the moment, we remain very undervalued. And we're in countries where it's possible to, even at $3.30 per pound of copper like today, you still make a lot of money in project in Zambia and Namibia because you produce below $2. It's like per pound of copper. So it's a very good value, very undervalued. So I think the risk at this point in time is not so high, but the potential to turn around and give serious added value to our shareholders is there, and it's existing now.
So surely exciting investment story at hand. Pierre, thank you for joining us here at the Wall Street Ledger.
Thank you. You have a nice day.
Yeah, you too. Our featured guest, Pierre Leveille. He's the president and CEO at Deep South Resources. Deep South Resources currently traded shares on the Toronto Venture Exchange on ticker DSM, as well over-the-counter bulletin board ticker DSMTF.